What if having PCOS is actually a blessing in disguise? If you've gotten diagnosed with PCOS in your teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, your PCOS is giving you the opportunity to learn how to prioritize and care for your body at an early age. Many people go through their lives prioritizing their work and relationships and everything else over their health. And then they're hit with a health crisis at 50 or 60, and then they have to unlearn decades of unhealthy habits, which is so much more complicated. Prevention is better than cure. If you like this perspective shift, be sure to follow my channel and like and comment on this video. Hello, I'm Amanda Hun. I'm a PCOS and non-diet dietitian, and I've been empowering people with PCOS to heal their PCOS holistically without dieting for over 4 years. In this video, we're going to take a look at the long-term complications of PCOS and how to be proactive in reducing your risk of developing these complications by using a root cause holistic habit and intuitive eating approach. If you want to take a proactive approach to eliminating your PCOS symptoms now and have thriving health all the way into your 80s, stick around. So I've talked about what PCOS is and the two groups of symptoms in another video. So I'll leave the video here if I can figure out how to do that, or in the description. So you can watch that next if you haven't watched it already. What you need to know about PCOS for this video is that it impacts your metabolic health as well as your hormone health, which then basically impacts your whole body. So if you have PCOS, you will have already experienced how PCOS affects you on an everyday basis. And this can be such a range of symptoms that I described in that video. But it can also be things like insulin resistance, inflammation, adrenal dysfunction, micronutrient deficiencies, poor sleep, poor nutrition, the pursuit of weight loss, which leads to yo-yo dieting or the restrict and binge cycle, maybe a lack of movement or a love-hate relationship with movement, high stress levels. And these experiences every day can lead to longer term health complications, especially when they are unmanaged and unaddressed. They can lead to serious health issues. But this is not to scare you. This is to educate you so that you can take action now. Prevention is better than cure. So let's talk about the 5 main long-term risks, health risks of PCOS. The first is infertility, and PCOS is the leading cause of anovulatory infertility. What does this actually mean? Anovulatory means no ovulation. So you're not able to get pregnant because you're not ovulating. And this is because your hormones are out of balance. So when you ovulate, there are 2 outcomes. 1, you have a period, or 2, you get pregnant. So if you don't ovulate, you cannot have a period and you cannot get pregnant. Now, often the conventional medical system will tell you just take the pill so that it regulates your periods, but actually it just masks your irregular periods. And then come back when you want to get pregnant and we'll give you ovulation pills like Clomid. And this can be a route that you take, but often my clients come to me because they want to have regular periods so that when they are ready to get pregnant, they can get pregnant naturally. And to me, it's also about helping your body feel in balance and safe enough to create life, rather than forcing your body to ovulate when it's clearly not feeling safe and ready to ovulate and have a baby. How can we create a condition where your body actually feels in balance and safe to have a safe and healthy and easy fertility and pregnancy journey? So one of my clients came to me because she'd been on the pill for 5 years, and when she came off it, she didn't have any periods at all for 1 year. But in 6 months, when we focus on identifying her root cause, creating holistic healthy habits that help to balance her hormones, and tuning into her inner body wisdom, she got her periods for 3 months in a row. And then 2 months after she finished the program, because the program is 6 months, she emailed me and told me that she got pregnant. And now she has a healthy and thriving 2-year-old. So the second long-term complication with PCOS is type 2 diabetes. I had a client who had insulin resistance, and she got diagnosed with insulin resistance like way before working with me. And she was put on metformin, but she wasn't told to improve her nutrition, improve her movement, do any lifestyle changes, and she wasn't referred to a dietitian either. And then 2 years later, she went to the doctors again, and she was told that she actually has type 2 diabetes. So we know that insulin resistance leads to type 2 diabetes. And taking metformin is not enough to reduce her risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And we'll talk about how she actually managed her type 2 diabetes and came off metformin later in the video. It is so important to be proactive and make nutrition and lifestyle changes when you have insulin resistance to reduce your risk of developing type 2 diabetes later in life. And if you have type 2 diabetes, you can take a combination approach where you have medications and lifestyle changes, or just lifestyle changes. But the lifestyle changes is so crucial. And when I say nutrition and lifestyle changes, I'm not saying you have to cut out carbs or you have to count carbs, right? One of my clients came to me and actually had type 1 diabetes. So this is not because she had insulin resistance that developed into type 2 diabetes. This is an autoimmune condition that's genetic. And she was told from a very early age that she could not have fruit and rice. And she's Asian, so rice is a staple. So she stopped eating with her family and ate the foods that she thought that she could eat, and she stopped eating fruit, which made her really sad because she actually really enjoyed fruit. But when we debunked all these myths around carbs and sugar and type 1 and type 2 diabetes, she started trying to include bananas and white rice in her diet again, in a balanced diet. And when she checked her blood sugar levels, she was like, oh, they didn't spike like I've been told before. They were actually fine. They were in balance. And so she continued to include fruit and white rice and eat with her family as a part of her nutrition and lifestyle, while being able to manage her blood sugar levels and type 1 diabetes. The third long-term complication is heart disease and cardiovascular disease. So cardiovascular is the arteries and the veins surrounding the heart. You're at higher risk when you have high cholesterol levels, particularly when you do the blood test and you can see that your LDL, which is what we call the bad cholesterol, and the HDL, which is what we call the good cholesterol, the ratio is high. So your LDL ratio to your HDL is high. It's also when your total cholesterol compared to your HDL, the good cholesterol, is also high. If you have these blood tests, get your doctor to interpret them for you, or when you work with a dietitian like me, I can help you interpret them as well. But other than the blood tests, other predictors of developing heart disease and cardiovascular disease is stress, chronic high stress levels, or a dysregulated nervous system, yo-yo dieting, or being on the restrict and binge cycle. So particularly if you're on that pursuit of weight loss and your weight's going high and then low and then high and then low. You're losing 5 or 20 kilos and then you're gaining it back again. Your weight cycling. This is a predictor of high cholesterol, which can lead to heart disease and cardiovascular disease. And also having high inflammation, which is really, really common in people with PCOS. The fourth long-term complication is endometrial cancer or breast cancer. This is particularly if you have irregular periods where you're missing your periods for 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time. And often this is related to having high estrogen levels. And also, if you have these excess estrogen levels and you're taking the combination pill, the hormonal birth control pill that has estrogen as well as progestin, this will increase your risk of developing endometrial cancer and breast cancer. So if you are taking the combination pill and have irregular periods, it is so important to check this. Having fibroid or dermoid cysts can also increase your risk of having these cancers. And this is not because of the fibroid or dermoid cyst itself. Often those are benign, but this is a sign that you have excess estrogen levels, which is the risk factor for endometrial and breast cancer. Please note that this is different to the immature follicles that look like cysts that you see in the ultrasound you get when you get diagnosed with PCOS, right? These immature follicles are harmless. They're just a sign that you're not ovulating properly and likely you have irregular periods. And for breast cancer, family history is a strong risk factor for developing breast cancer later in life. So I had a complex client who couldn't get her periods for 4 to 5 months at a time. And I say, if you're not getting your periods for 3 months at a time, go to your doctor, get the mini pill so that you can have a withdrawal bleed, so that your body can release the endometrial lining so that it's not constantly building up. And we did that every 3 months while we adjusted her habit so that she could have regular periods again. And the last long-term complication of PCOS that I want to talk about is mental health. So anxiety, depression, low quality of life, low self-esteem, low sense of self-worth. These are all associated with PCOS because having PCOS and not understanding it, not understanding the root cause and how to treat it so that you can regulate your hormones and feel better now and also in the future, can make you feel uncertain and uneasy. And this can create anxiety and over time depression, because when we're anxious, our nervous system is constantly dysregulated and eventually it's too exhausting to be constantly anxious. So then you go into depression. And add on top of that, diet culture telling you to try all these different diets that are restrictive, cut out all these different food groups and eat not enough for your body to feel nourished so that it's still in survival mode. On top of that, the weight stigma that we experience in society as well as in the medical system. These can all impact your mental health. So now that you know the long-term complications of PCOS, what nutrition and lifestyle changes can you do to reduce your risk of developing these later in life? So my approach to PCOS is a 3-step approach. 1, identify your root cause. 2, create holistic, healthy habits that will help to balance your hormones, treat your root cause, and alleviate your PCOS symptoms now and reduce the risk of developing future health complications later in life. And 3 is tune into your inner body wisdom so that you know that you're on the right track to healing your PCOS and to improving your health long term, and so that you can adjust your habits and your treatment according to what your body needs. So going back to that client who had PCOS insulin resistance, was put on metformin, but then later developed type 2 diabetes. So I treat insulin resistance like I treat type 2 diabetes. And for PCOS, the first step is always identify the root cause. We know that she has insulin resistance, so that's her main root cause. But we also saw in a blood test that she had inflammation and micronutrient deficiency, particularly vitamin D and vitamin B12. And it's really common for you to be deficient in vitamin B12 if you are on metformin long term. So if you are on metformin, make sure to check your vitamin B12 every 6 months. So we found her root cause. So second was creating holistic habits that helped her to balance her hormones. Before, she was having no breakfast, was restricting carbs all day, and then would binge on carbs at the end of the day. And what that causes is a roller coaster in your blood sugar levels, in your energy, and in your mood. But once she started eating consistently balanced nutrition with carbs throughout the day, her blood sugar levels became like waves. And this is what we want, waves, not roller coasters. Combine that with weight training, because we know that increasing muscle mass improves insulin sensitivity, and also walking and yoga, which help to soothe her nervous system, regulate her nervous system, reduce her cortisol levels, which in turn kept her blood sugar levels and insulin levels in balance. We also put her on supplements, berberine, which is great for type 2 diabetes and insulin resistance, inositol, which is great for PCOS in general, vitamin D to correct her vitamin D deficiency, and she also got vitamin B12 shots. And then the last step is to tune into her inner body wisdom. So this client felt confident to manage her type 2 diabetes without metformin because she could tell when her blood sugar levels were out of balance, and she would correct her nutrition or she would go for a walk to balance her blood sugar levels when they were out of range. And as a result, her energy levels tripled. She woke up feeling refreshed rather than lethargic and exhausted. Her energy levels were stable throughout the day so that she could move more in the evening and care for her body, which meant that her inflammation reduced, and she started getting her periods regularly every month. So we saw the improvements in her blood tests, in her inflammation markers, in her blood sugar levels and HbA1c, but we also saw it in her symptoms and how she felt in her body. So she had regular periods and more stable energy and moods. Now, I want to talk about another client who was told that she needed to lose weight for her PCOS when she was in her 20s. And before that, she had a relatively good relationship with food and her body. But because of this pursuit of weight loss, she had been yo-yo dieting and on the restrict and binge cycle for over 20 years. And she ended up weight cycling and ending up at a higher weight, having high cholesterol, disordered eating habits, and she was still so confused about nutrition, even though she'd spent 20 years researching every diet under the sun. And this affected her mental health. She had anxiety and depression and poor self-esteem. She was also feeling insecure about her hair balding, so she was losing hair by chunks, and also she had hormonal acne on her skin. So again, the first thing that we did was identify her root cause. So her root causes were adrenal dysfunction, inflammation, and vitamin D deficiency. And then we created holistic healthy habits that targeted her root cause to balance her hormones. So we helped her ditch her dieting mindset and dieting practices like getting rid of the calorie counting app and getting rid of the scales. And we helped her create holistic, balanced, consistent eating habits. So rather than trying to eat clean or trying to eat low calorie, it was about eating balanced. This helped to regulate her nervous system because it didn't feel like it was in survival mode anymore. We also included anti-inflammatory foods like fatty fish, which helped to increase her HDL and reduce her inflammation. She included more relaxation practices and nervous system regulation practices like deep breathing techniques and mindfulness. And also she prioritized relaxation movement like yoga and walking over high intensity interval training. We also created a supplement plan for her where she took N-acetylcysteine, which is a really powerful anti-inflammatory, lysine, which helps to regulate the nervous system, melatonin, which helps to get really good deep sleep, and vitamin D. And then we helped her tune into her body wisdom. So once she was able to notice her body's communication with her, what foods felt nourishing, what foods didn't feel nourishing, how much food was enough, and when she was hungry, this is when she started to trust her body and stop needing to clutch on to those dieting rules and restrictions. This trust in her body helped her feel more at ease and at peace in her body. And when she looked in her mirror by the end of the program, she actually liked what she saw, which is so beautiful. In her blood test, we also saw a reduction in her LDL cholesterol and increased HDL cholesterol. Her mental health improved because she had such a strong relationship with her body. She started having higher self-esteem and higher sense of self-worth. And her baby hairs started growing back again. Her hairdresser was like, oh, look at all these baby hairs. And her acne had reduced. These results are not by accident. There is a formula to them. It's about treating the root cause, not the symptoms, creating holistic, sustainable, healthy habits that balance your hormones and tuning into your inner body wisdom so that you know that you're on the right path and it can help guide you to honor what your body needs. This is how you heal PCOS from the inside out and reduce your risk of developing these future health complications. And working with a dietitian who specializes in PCOS can help you. We know PCOS back to front. We know all the different root cause combinations and what you need to target in your nutrition and habits and lifestyle so that you can treat the root cause and reverse PCOS and reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, cardiovascular disease, endometrial cancer later in life. You can heal your PCOS. You can even reverse it. Take this as a blessing in disguise. You get to learn how to prioritize and care for your health now so that you can be thriving in your health, so that you can go and play with your grandchildren and watch them grow up, so that you can continue going hiking and dancing and playing all the way into your 70s and 80s, rather than being frail and burdened with all these complicated health conditions. You can heal your PCOS if you know your root cause and take the small steps to improve your PCOS nutrition and lifestyle. Remember, prevention is better than cure. You have better outcomes when you take action before it gets to crisis point. Now is the best time to take action. Subscribe, like, and comment if this has been helpful. Comment your biggest takeaway so that other people know how important it is to take action now. And if you want support to regulate your periods, boost your energy levels and mood, stabilize your hormones, reduce your acne, excess hair growth, and hair loss, and heal your relationship with food and your body without dieting, I teach and guide you through this 3-step process in PCOS Body Freedom, my 6-month PCOS and intuitive eating program. So if you want to learn more information about that, I'll drop the link in. I also have an ebook, 6 ways to balance your hormones naturally for people with PCOS. So if you want to learn a little bit more, this is an interactive workbook where you actually write down where you're at and what you need to do next, so it's easier to implement it. I'll drop this in the description as well. But if you want to get results faster and want that extra support, then reach out for the PCOS Body Freedom program. Thank you so much for watching this video. Again, subscribe, like, and comment if you found this valuable, and we'll see you in the next video. Mwah.